Hey guys, how you doing? Today we are going to take a look at the dual rate springs on my General XP. So this must be a problem that I'm sure other people have had. I sent a message to Shock Therapy to see if this is something that's common. They said it's not really common, but sometimes you can jack the car up and twist the spring. So let me explain what's going on. I'll switch the camera around. I'll go back to the back shock over here. It's the one that's the worst, and show you what we got. Okay, let's see if that shows it any better. Okay, so right in there, see how this spring is touching my reservoir for the shock. It actually, if I go around here, there you go. You can see it's actually put a flat spot in there. And when I jack this machine up, the powder coat is missing off of the spring here also, or whatever this coating is that's on here. So what you have to have is you have to have the end of the spring, like you see right there, 180 to the upper one. And right now they're twisted. The upper one is well, that's interesting. The upper one it feels like it is 180. It may or may not be the same situation as if you were putting on new spring. So what I noticed is I went around to all of them, and that one over there I noticed first, and then I went around to all of them, and you could see right here a little spot where the coating's gone. So it tagged it once. This one's not bent yet, but I got the same thing going on. Got a big space here, and on this side, if I can get in there, yeah, see how that side, it's touching right there. That whole slider is cocked, so that spring's not sitting right, which will make them rub this and make them not react correctly. So hopefully they're not to a point that that's too late. So I'm going to take a spring compressor and I was going to try to turn them. Now see, here's an example. On this front wheel, that tab and that tab are in line with each other, almost perfectly in line with each other. This thing is completely cocked sideways, rubbing the inside of this material off on this side of the shock. Okay, well, I have a spring compressor that I did the loaner program from Napa that I was going to see if I can get it to fit on here, because when I jack this machine up, these don't come loose enough that I can turn them. So I was hoping if I jack it up and I can compress them a little bit, that I can just twist them without having to disassemble the whole car. So this one here, yeah, this one's doing the same thing. It's off. And where's my tab? My tab's right there. And the other tab is over there. So those tabs aren't in line either. Okay, well that's interesting. So, I guess, don't assume. Just because I watched a video on putting somebody else's springs on this machine, that might be the correct way to put their springs on. It may or may not be the correct on this. I don't know. I'll look in my book and see what I can find. And then we'll come back and show you what I come up with. Maybe a little trial and error. You know, if I help one guy out there, or girl, making these videos is all worth it. So it may not be tonight, but I'm going to look through my book and see what I come up with, and we'll bring you back after I've made a decision on which route I'm going. Okay, so I played with the springs, spring compressor, all that stuff, turned it around, tried to find a happy medium on that one. I've tried it a couple of times, it's still in the same spot, so that's a good thing. It is not perfectly in line, you know, as far as where this rides on the sleeve, but the spring is straighter and it's not touching the reservoir anymore, and it's stayed that way so far. This one over here hasn't touched. I played with this one a couple of times, putting the spring compressor on it and trying to turn it, trying to find that sweet spot that would get the spring farther away from that reservoir. It's nowhere near as much room as the driver's side has, but I don't see any evidence that it's touching. It wound up getting, I played with different spots, and you can see there's a little, maybe you can see it, there's a little spot right there where my finger's pointing. Maybe with the light on it you could see it, but anyway, that is where it used to be in line with the reservoir. Now it's turned a little bit, and there was different combinations turning the upper spring there to try to get it to move away a little bit more. And there's no new marks on it, so I just got to keep a close eye on it, and at some point I'll probably have to put the spring compressor on there and try turning the stuff again. I'm sure at some point I'll put aftermarket springs on there. I wish I could get the spring in the orange, because I like the look it gives, but what my understanding is the shock therapy spring is a smaller OD. So this spring actually looks like it spans out a little bit. It's got this lower part of the coil is just a hair smaller than this. These aren't in line. This one is a little bigger. Kind of got the same thing up here, so it's not as drastic as like on a standard General with the Fox suspension. They're real small there, and then they go big, and then they go small again. This is almost the same size, but this is just a hair bigger around OD than at the base. So the shock therapy ones are, my understanding, that they're the same size all the way up. So that would give me a little more clearance also. So we'll just keep running it and hope for the best. So I hope this helps someone out there. Keep an eye on those springs, because it's you know, I got a pretty good chunk missing out of that. I don't know if it's showing on the camera, missing out of that reservoir. So keep a close eye on it. And the fronts have all kinds of room, so even if the spring's running crooked, it's not going to hit the reservoir. But you don't want your springs running crooked even if they're not hitting the reservoir. I hope that helps somebody out there. That'll wrap up this video, and we will catch you on the next one. See you next time.